Okay, folks, welcome to Tombstone, Arizona.
Tombstone. In the 1880s, it was a boom town, rich in silver, gambling, saloons, and culture. It also had its fair share of lawlessness and lawmen. Today, it still thrives as a must-see town for tourists. Whether you're just visiting or a local, sometimes it just feels right to dress for the 1880s. The town lives on tourism, and there's plenty to do and see here, such as stagecoach rides, guided tours, special attractions, and daily reenactments of perhaps the most famous gunfight out of the Old West. In the movies, it's commonly referred to as the gunfight at the OK Corral. Okay, how does this sound? The gunfight near the OK Corral. That's right, that blaze of gunfire on October 26, 1881, never happened in the corral. We went to Tombstone's official historian, Ben Traywick, for the specifics.
It occurred in a lot adjacent to it, a little behind it. It was a vacant lot at the time, kind of a wagon yard, and there was a small building on there where the mayor stored some of his lumber and stuff.
Let's really put it into perspective. This is the OK Corral, and this was the location of the vacant lot Ben spoke of. Today, it's occupied by mannequins representing the Earps, Doc Holliday, and their rivals, the Cowboys. It's a tale that corral tour guide Burton Webster knows well.
When the Earps walk into the lot, Wyatt is attributed as having said, "You've been looking for a fight and now you can have one." Virgil said, "Put up your hands, I'm here to disarm you." Now the response of the Cowboys was almost raising their hands. Billy Clanton half raised his hands and said, "I don't want to fight." Tom McLaury said, "I don't have anything," also raising his hands halfway up. Frank is about to say, "We will," when something happened that caused the Cowboys to go for their guns. Now, it could have been a wink. Doc could have pulled the shotgun out from underneath his coat and cocked back the hammers, okay? But whatever it was, the Cowboys felt as though they were about to be shot down. So they went for their pistols.
What caused the Cowboys to go for their weapons has been debated for over 100 years. One thing is for certain, Tom McLaury, Frank McLaury, and Billy Clanton died in that gunfight. Some say they were murdered. Today, tourists visit their graves at Tombstone's Boot Hill. But here's where some confusion comes in. Some folks come here looking for the graves of Wyatt Earp and Doc Holliday. Well, you can look, but you won't find.
I've had people come in and tell me, real irate, say, "I've been all over Boot Hill and I can't find Wyatt Earp or Doc Holliday anywhere." I said, "Well, maybe it's because one of them buried in Colorado, one's in California."
That's right. Remember that both these men survived the gunfight. They left Tombstone in 1882. Doc Holliday died of tuberculosis in 1887 and was buried in Glenwood Springs, Colorado. And Wyatt? He outlived them all, passing away in 1929 in California. One possible reason for so many misconceptions about 1880s Tombstone? The movies and television. Entertaining, but not always accurate.
Well, well. How the hell are you?
Wyatt, I am rolling.
In film, much is made about the friendship between Wyatt and Doc. That's factual, but in films like Day of the Gun and the popular Tombstone, they've got Wyatt visiting Doc in a sanitarium shortly before the gambler's death. According to our historian, this is a meeting that never happened.
Well, there's two things wrong with that. Number one, Doc was not in a sanatorium. He was in a hotel across the street and died there. Wyatt did not know that Doc Holliday was dead for 10 years after he died. Doc died in 1887. Wyatt didn't even find out about it, and he found out then because he was being interviewed by the San Francisco Chronicle in 1897. And he was all surprised when they said Doc Holliday's dead.
Regardless of when and where he died, Southern-born John Henry Holliday was remembered more for the way he lived. You know, by most accounts, they say that Doc Holliday was one volatile, whiskey-soaked, bullet-spitting son of thunder who had no reservations about shooting a man. Contrary to that, some people say that shortly after the gunfight, this Western tough guy broke down and wept. Is it possible? Ben simply doesn't buy it.
I've heard that, but I don't believe it.
Burton believes that if Doc did shed those tears, it was certainly not for the cowboys.
It wouldn't surprise me. You have to remember that after the gunfight, Morgan had been shot through the shoulders. The bullet went through his right shoulder, basically rolled across his shoulder blades, broke off a piece of vertebrae in his back, and came out his left shoulder. So he was seriously wounded. He could have died. Virgil was shot through the calf, and these were people that Doc cared about tremendously. And I think that's probably why he was, if he wept, that was what it was about. Because I think he realized the ramifications of the gunfight after it was over. I don't think he thought about it before it happened.
Separating the fact from fiction in Tombstone, this is Glenn Ross.